Hello and welcome to the AutoTrader Podcast. My name is Wandile Sishi.
And I'm George Mienie in take two.
Take 3, take 5. Who knows how many takes we do each time. But yeah, today we got a super interesting episode, which is really an opportunity for me to get some insights from you, George, because you just went on a super incredible trip, which I wasn't invited to. So this is my opportunity to just kind of poke and find out.
Yeah, it wasn't a magic mushroom trip.
Just for anybody who's wondering. The trip we're talking about is you went to Volkswagen's VW plant in Gqeberha, formerly known as PE.
Yeah, formerly PE Kariga plant.
Yes, which is the Kariga plants. So we're going to be talking about all things motoring today, kicking off with just kind of your trip there. I think a lot of people had a lot of questions that they sent me, so I thought maybe I could kind of badger you and find out some of the trade secrets.
Badger away. I was very fortunate to spend the day with Martina Bien, the CEO of VW South Africa, as well as Ulrich Schwart, who is the production director. Yeah, and really is on the ground. In terms of making sure that plant runs efficiently.
Why did you go on the trip in the first place? Was it just to understand kind of manufacturing? Was there a specific reason why you went to that location specifically?
Well, you know, I wanted to start somewhere in terms of visiting all the plants in South Africa, and VW kind of.
Does it come through?
Out of a hat, you know. This was the first one, so that we did. And it was very insightful. It was a miserable day in Gqeberha. So
it wasn't like the sunniest
it was raining.
Day. Yeah. In short, it was raining. Just like it is today. I mean, I mean, for a lot of people who don't know, there are 7 manufacturers in South Africa that currently produce your cars, or our cars. So there's a few benefits of why you'd want to buy a locally produced car, which we'll get into later on. But like for scale of size, how big are these like manufacturing plants for anybody who's never like seen one?
They're humongous. I mean, couple of football fields at least.
Yeah.
They are humongous. You can imagine the automation and the robots that have to throw things around, and I learned a number of things. So, you know, as you can see, that doesn't have a robot in it, but that's the assembly line. So there's a difference between kind of the press shop. Yeah.
Press shop being where they take the metals and kind of mold them, or
So you know, what I was really fascinated with was that you know, Tesla and Elon Musk talk about the gigapress. Yeah, as an example,
that giant machine that just does like 3 pieces and they put them together and it's one car that's done.
No, I mean, no, that's not the principle of the gigapress. The gigapress is flat piece of sheet metal. Yeah, anywhere between 0.6 and 1.4 millimeters thick. That's how thick the panels on a car are. Right, the thinner you can go, the better. Yeah, because it makes the car lighter. And these are made of metal. So cars today are still made of metal. Electric vehicles are trying to go down the road of lighter metals, you know, aluminium or the like. So that is the end of the press. Yeah. So that starts out as a flat piece of metal. Okay, which is cut into a certain shape, pre-ordered, cut into a certain shape. There it is there. And then it's got 6 stages. Okay. That piece of metal goes through. The first press, it's a massive press, hundreds of tons of weight onto this piece of metal to stamp it effectively into that shape that you saw in the image before. And what was fascinating for me was that the press is no different, really, to the gigapress that Tesla uses, or that Elon Musk speaks about. Yeah, it's just they've done a better marketing job of this press. Yeah, we've got exactly the same thing and capability in South Africa. As a matter of fact, this press does a better job than the one on Tesla.
Why do you say that? Is there a specific reason?
If you look on a VW Polo, the front of the fender, I learned this when I was there, the front of the fender comes to a point.
Mm-hmm.
There's an extra step in the press process. You can see there. So the fender comes to a point.
Yep.
That is very difficult to do. To bring that fender to that sharp point. And it's perfectly done every single time. And that's, I think, the difference between this VW plant and, some other new startups that are pressing vehicles. Those lines that you see on between the bonnet and the fender, on the assembly line, there are cameras that read every line, every single car to see that those lines are identical. Yeah. So the quality of the output is the same every single time. Now you get I'm jumping around. You first get the press, right? It's called the press plant, and these flat pieces of sheet metal go through this press plant in 6 stages, and come out as a shaped door, fender,
any component really.
Whatever pressed part is going to be assembled on the car at the end, and they change dies for every part that they produce, and they change dies depending on how much stock they've got in the warehouse. So if stock starts running low, they'll change dies. It doesn't take very long to change dies on those big presses. Big cranes come and put a die in the top of the press.
Yeah, so this entire process,
hundreds of tons. Yeah. Once the press, is done with its job, and it's those parts go to the production line.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is where robots spot weld these pieces together to begin to make the platform. Okay, so the platform is the undercarriage of the car. Okay, that's the platform, and it's called the platform concept because VW, like many other manufacturers, use the same platform
for different models.
And that's a principle. Yeah, the Polo GTI, the Polo Vivo, same platform. VW Karija only produces 2 vehicles, the Polo and the Polo Vivo.
All the way through to GTR models.
Well, GTR is just a variant.
Okay. So any variant you want, they do it all. In
terms of model, Polo and Polo Vivo. Okay. So these robots, there's 2 principles with the robots that I learned. The first principle is the robot moves the part, and the spot welder is stationary. And the robot moves the part into where the welding is. It welds, moves it a bit, welds, and then the robot moves the part to another place. Okay. The other principle is the part is stationary in there's an example of the robot moving the part around.
Is there any human interaction at this point? Like, are people involved in terms of?
Not in this part.
Not okay.
Yeah, not in this part. In the checking, yes, but not in this part. The robot, we'll get onto the ratio of robots to humans in a second. But the robot either moves the part around or the robot moves the welding gun around. Yeah. So then the part is stationary and the welding gun comes in spot welds. In different parts of the production line, that happens. And they spot weld these things together. Now, what's also an interesting principle is, and this is getting a bit too technical, is there's no electrode material used to weld. Yeah. Literally melts the metal on metal.
Okay,
so that's what the electrode does. Melts metal on metal. And there's an example of you can see the part there.
I assume if you melt it, if they do it that way, it ensures like the strength of
yes, there's no third material being introduced.
Okay. Yeah. So if it won't like break on that piece, it's literally just one piece ultimately.
Yeah, it uses the electrode to melt the metal effectively. Then once it's off the production line, it goes onto the assembly line. Okay, and the assembly line is where the humans are. And this is where the doors get taken off, and the car begins getting assembled, and goes through the assembly line, dash, seats, electric stuff. The undercarriage and the engine is not yet assembled onto the car. That is on a different line. So a totally different line does that part. And what's interesting, I said to you earlier on, we'll get to the ratio. In Europe, 90%, more than 90% of the production and assembly line are robots.
90% of the
entire
cars.
System is robots.
Okay.
In South Africa, it's just over 70%.
Okay. So a lot more humans are employed by South African.
Correct.
So that begs.
And it's a choice. So I asked Martina, is it a choice or is it because we don't have the robots? We can get the robots. Yeah. It's a choice. It creates more employment. It's also cheaper to do it that way than to employ robots in this country.
I have a question with regards to, because something that comes up with, I've read an article and an entire study actually about the quality of cars as a result of this. Never read the whole entire study. That'll be insane. But does having more humans take away the potential, like the quality of the vehicle, and versus
not in VW's case? And the reason not in VW's case is because there are so many checks and balances. The cameras I told you about, checking the gaps in every single panel. Okay. On the assembly line, you'll see this set of cameras that moves around every gap of the car to check that the gaps are right. So there's the cameras there. Okay. And you can see.
You can actually see the little laser there spotting by the door handle.
Exactly. And those cameras are precise, absolutely precise. So every car is built in exactly the same way. VW prides itself in the quality of the output, even at a ratio of just over 70% in terms of robots. It's still high. I mean, 2/3 of the car is robots.
100%. I mean, if you want your car here and produced fast, you're gonna need a little bit of help from robots ultimately. I think humans are always going to be slower.
So this plant produces up to 710 cars per day.
That's
okay. They use up to 3 shifts.
Yeah.
So if you think
24 hours around the clock, or
3 shifts, 710 cars per day. I mean, you can do the maths. There's checkpoint number 6. That's what they call checkpoint number 6. This is the final checkpoint where the car now is driven for the first time after this checkpoint. So literally at this checkpoint is the first time that key is turned.
When it's turned, this is a question that somebody might have asked. I've never bought a brand new car. When you buy a new car, does the mileage say 0? Does this count as like?
It's a good question. I don't know. I didn't ask that question. I think it's trivial. I think it's because
like they do like 10Ks.
Because they have to drive the car, right? Yeah. As a test. From here, the car goes into a bay that checks the brakes. Brakes are the most important thing besides starting the car. That's the area that checks the brakes. Does a drive on those rollers and checks the brakes, and then it goes on a physical driving test. And then comes back, goes into a water bay to check that it's sealed.
The whole car goes, or like what?
But it gets sprayed okay. From different angles.
I had a completely different image there.
No, this is not James Bond.
Not like a submarine, yeah.
Goes into a water bay, which is just to the left of this image. Gets sprayed from different angles.
Yeah.
To check that it's absolutely sealed, and then it goes into final quality check, which is heavy lights on the car. Yeah. Humans do a final quality check on the car.
Is there anything that you saw on your trip?
There we go. That's the final quality check.
Oh, these are the lights.
There's the lights, yeah. So,
is there anything that you saw that you didn't know before?
Plenty. I can't even begin to tell you.
Yeah.
How many little things I learned.
Yeah.
Around thickness of the metal. The fact that I've got to correct myself from a year, 2 years ago, when I said South Africa is merely an assembler. We produce these vehicles
from start to finish. What about the parts that come in?
Well, a lot of more than 60% of the content of the car in South Africa, cars in South Africa, well, in this case, is local product.
Yeah,
local content. So local content is either produced here, and the definition is either produced here, or there's enhancement done here to that component or that part of the car. So it could be parts of the steel that gets bought. It could be various things. And And I can honestly say, after visiting the VW plant, we're not just an assembler.
Yeah, way more than that.
We're more than that. This is world-class stuff.
No, 100%, 100%. We're going to have a full video that's going to speak to the rest of your trip on our various social media platforms as well as on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see the entire thing, including George's interview, we'll post the links as soon as
so interestingly, that GTI behind us there is the 25th anniversary GTI that's going to Europe. It's not going to be in South Africa.
It's kind of mean.
So it's going to Europe. It's to celebrate the 25th year anniversary. I think Martina said there's only 2,500 being built.
And so this is a special edition.
Special edition, only being built here.
Oh, beautiful.
So it was really a treat and a privilege to be in this plant.
I can only imagine. On the same topic, though, I think it's important for people to understand why. I mean, there's many reasons why you'd want to buy a locally produced car. But off the top of your head, I do have a list, of course, but off the top of your head, what are some of the reasons why anyone should consider buying a locally produced car before they go to, any other model that's produced elsewhere in the world?
Well, I think it's built by the first reason. It's built by South Africans for South Africans.
Yeah,
I think for me that's the primary reason. Is the more you support locally built stuff, locally manufactured stuff, right? The more you support our local economy, the more you benefit in the end, whether you're part of the automotive industry or not.
100%.
Because the profits stay in our country. The salaries get paid to people in our country. Money's not leaving our country in droves when we start to import. Yeah. So nothing wrong with imports, but buy something that is made by South Africans for South Africans.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my first point, was it supports the local economy ultimately.
Exactly.
And the full economy. So salaries, like you said, all the way down to production and raw materials and all of that. So that's the first big thing.
The second thing is it costs less.
Yeah.
And the reason it costs less is because there's a 18% import duty on imported cars. You don't get that in the price of a locally produced car.
A car that's also imported in, ultimately it's going to be just the actual product's going to be, not excluding the tax, the import tax, but the product's going to be a little bit more expensive as well, because it has to be factored in kind of all of the costs that the OEM's doing.
Well, to be fair, over 60% of
the cost, like the final price
of VW's cars that are manufactured in the Kariga plant are actually exported.
Yeah.
Right. So manufacturers get export credits, and for those export credits, they can import cars.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a set off there with that 18%. Other manufacturers, I believe, either BMW or Mercedes, I stand to correction, 85 or 90% of their vehicles are exported. Whereas VW is a little bit lower. There's a lot of kind of local consumption.
There's demand. There's lots. I was about to say.
Well, for the Polo, I mean, you know what the search numbers look like. The other thing is parts availability. Parts availability are likely higher and less expensive for a car manufactured in South Africa.
So maintenance, and if you need new bonnets or something, you're saying it'll be a lot cheaper if it's produced.
Well, a lot is a subjective word, but yes, it should be cheaper.
Not substantially. Actually, we'll find out. We'll find out what it is. But
even if it's slightly cheaper, it's still cheaper. But it's again locally made product for local people.
For people who are environmentally conscious, is there environmental benefit to producing a car locally or buying a car that's produced locally?
Well, so what I learned when I was there as well is that they've got a VW South Africa has a net zero strategy.
Yeah,
and that is getting energy from wind farms, solar. They've already got solar all over the roofs of the plant to try and produce cars using clean energy.
So like full production from like not taking any energy from Eskom. Is that even like, what sort of energy source do you need for that? I mean, you said it's a massive plant.
The Berge, it's very windy there.
Oh yeah. So they just use the Power of the wind.
Exactly. Yeah. So, the one thing that they will battle with is in the paint shop, which is where the car gets sprayed. I didn't mention that. That's part of that process. They have to use gas, and that's something they're trying to minimize.
Is there a way around that though?
There's got to be ways around it. I mean, the production director was telling me that there could be a way around it when wind and solar farms, wind farms, you can produce hydrogen right there.
Okay.
The transporting of the hydrogen is obviously the problem.
Yeah.
But the dirty energy, they have a plan to get that to zero.
100%. So let's talk about the future of manufacturing. I'm sure did they speak to anything that is innovative about how they produce their vehicles? Is it something that's a world first only at this plant or only in South Africa that you were kind of exposed to or discussed? Well,
I don't think world first because remember, a lot of these techniques are 100 years old and they've been developing over decades and decades and decades. So I don't think anyone in the world can say world first. Tesla's got a greenfield approach, and they make a lot of their parts in one unit as opposed to spot welding the parts together. So I don't think there's a world first, but certainly in terms of quality, this VW plant stands out. Yeah.
So we can get some more, but before we even leave this topic, I think I'm curious with regards to if you want to electric vehicles are coming, right? And if you're saying 60% with VW, for instance, have to be exported, how do you transform a factory that's been kind of purposed for internal combustion engines to hybrids or electric or battery electric vehicles?
You don't.
Yeah. Do you start from scratch or?
No. There are. What I'm starting to believe is there are hundreds, if not thousands, of plants around the world. Right? We've got one in South Africa. I think there are 3 plants in Africa for VW, but there are hundreds in Europe. So all of those plants are going to have to move to producing electric vehicles. So think about this. As they ramp down the production of ICE vehicles, they ramp up the production of electric vehicles. Nobody's really going to want to
be the first to try it out.
No, nobody's really going to want to build an entire new plant. You're going to want to use what you've got. It's cheaper, right? So you're going to have to change the plant. I mean, in this plant, there's no space to put an extra production line. I mean, the thing weaves through that plant like a train track.
Yeah.
So to change the plants in Europe, I would imagine that's what the future strategy would be, which means they're going to ramp down ICE production, ramp up EV production.
It's not like a switch. It's kind of a gradual process.
It's a process.
Kind of gets that.
The entire world's not going to move to EVs at the same rate. Africa and South Africa, let's not fool ourselves. South Africa is a third world country. We are going to move slower than the rest of the world. There are other third world countries in the world that are going to move slower. So for the foreseeable future, next decade, we are going to have consumption of ICE vehicles.
Yeah, for sure.
As we make plans, ramp up, consumer consumption of new energy vehicles. Where are those vehicles going to come from? They're going to come from Europe.
Yeah.
Because Europe's going to be ramping down ICE production and ramping up EVs, right? So the EVs are going to be imported into countries like South Africa. Chances of manufacturing in South Africa, I'm starting to believe, is further out than we'd like it to be.
Okay.
And not because it's the wrong thing to do, but because of Europe. And our export, particularly in the VW situation, our export is going to be to those countries that are going to ramp down ICE and up EVs slower.
100%.
Which is a very clever strategy, if you ask me.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But there's another potential benefit for South Africa, and that is in batteries. we have all the raw materials on this continent to make and produce lithium-ion batteries, and even sodium now, which I believe is starting to become more stable.
There's an opportunity there.
There's an opportunity there to not export the raw material and import the final product.
Produce the raw material and then...
Well, you don't produce raw material. You dig it out the ground.
The battery pack. Let's just say the battery pack and then send it to Europe.
Produce the battery pack, yeah. And then export those to Europe, fully produced. You know, so there's a lot of changing and moving parts in this entire new energy vehicle future that we find ourselves in. And I think that the industry, it's an exciting time to be in this industry because the industry is changing.
It's changing, exactly. Yeah.
And it's not a flip of a switch.
100%. That's pretty much all the time we have for. But before we leave, Max Verstappen is officially world champion.
Oh my goodness.
I just wanted to congratulate the Red Bull team.
You wanted to mess up my entire...
Your entire move is over now.
Flipping trip to VW.
I apologize.
With a drink that won the race.
With a drink that won the race, yes. Well, we'll talk about that probably in the next show. But for now, thank you very much. Yes, he
is the world champion. Good luck to him. He's done a brilliant job.
We'll unpack it further.
See you next time. Search AutoTrader.